Okay, so he was diagnosed in 2016. He had spent a couple of months having his left side of the face drooping and was just too busy to go get checked, and then he ended up having a seizure on May 15th. And the next day we found out there was a tumor the size of like a golf ball and a half in his brain. The week after he did his pre-op tests and was supposed to be operated on the week after that, but there were some delays, so it ended up being pushed a week. So we opted not to do chemo the first time, and we found another drug that was used predominantly about 30 years ago, but it was not covered by anything, not even our insurance. So that was probably about $1,000 a month. Which when you are on full-time disability or long-term disability, working with 45% of your salary is not something that's super feasible. So we did it as long as we could. And then there's the other aspect of the fact that I couldn't work anymore because there was a million appointments and he couldn't go alone, and I had to go with him, and then we had to find childcare, and you know, the whole family kind of gets involved in this whole world of how can we make sure this person's going to live and stay around. So we were told at the beginning that it was going to get him one way or another, whether it was going to be in a year or 20 years, he wasn't going to survive it. So from the very beginning we knew that it was, and we also knew that there was only 3 treatments out there that they had. So when it came back in 2019, the only option was operation, but unfortunately this time it presented with 2 tumors, and one was so deep in the brain that it was inoperable. So they gave him about 6 months, which ended up being about 3 months. And the decline was quite rapid. At first, he was covered by his works insurance, which was 66% of his salary, which was doable. You know, you cut corners, you make things work, you just buy the cheaper version of things, you don't go out, you don't have your luxuries and whatever. I had already just stopped working because I was actually 19 weeks pregnant, and the studio that I had worked at had closed down anyways, so we had already had that reduction coming. You just really tighten your belt and you really look at everything. There's no luxury of like, I'm at the gas station and paying $20 and I'll grab a pack of gum. No, that $2, you know, you might need it for something else. There's a lot of budgeting and everything like that, but the hardest hit was when his work insurance transferred him to long-term disability, which ends up going to the government, and they only pay 45% of your salary. And I don't know how they expect anyone to live on that. There's a lot of little things that you don't think of, and then you think, well, okay, so let's do everything we can to make you as healthy as you can so that your body can fight this. So you're gonna buy better food if you can, better quality food if you can, but it's kind of a catch-22. You can't really buy that stuff because you're not really getting the money to help you sustain that, so then you're not really as healthy as you can be, so you're not really fighting as well as you can. You know, if you're not doing as well energetically, I mean, he spent most of his days in bed or just sitting around, so obviously he wasn't really going to be cutting the grass, and I had 2 little kids to be running around after, and it wasn't necessarily easy. So you have to hire someone to cut the grass, or you have to hire someone to clean the snow. All these little things that you don't necessarily think of that you can do day to day when you're already so exhausted, you don't want to be thinking of these things, but you don't really have a choice when you're restrained. So